work today. We're going to talk about what bugs you about work or coworkers. I'm going to give you an update on my current work situation, and also we're going to talk about some exciting stuff that's going on with the channel. And of course, as always, the live chat is open, as we have verified already today. So be sure to drop your facts, chats, and reacts, and I'll respond to them throughout the show. Really appreciate you guys being here, and if you could also hit that like button, I'll appreciate you even more. Okay, let's see if we can truly make this show better than the last one. First things first. Let's find out where I am. Find out where I've been, not where I am, because where I am is right here. Oh, Jesus. What a craziness. Okay. Guys, I am in a mood today. I'm just letting you know. Also, just a preempt. It's going to be a little bit of a long one today, but you'll find out why later on in the show. So, for those of you who may have missed it, this is where I've been. I'm going to leave it up for a minute, just in case you haven't seen it. And you can throw in your suggestions in the chat, and we'll catch up. Good evening, Falco. Hello, Manny. Hello, Disco. Hello, Emojin. Hi, Manny. Just returning the favor. Hi, Piper. Hi, Diane. Hi, Lorena. Lots of people here today. Woohoo! Oh, Dolly. Emojin says, I saw her sing at Leeds Arena. Whew. I would kill to see her live. She must have been awesome. Oh, I love Dolly Parton. Yay! Oh, there's so many people here. Yeah, so this is the Oakley Court Hotel in Windsor. And the reason it's significant that I went is, two reasons. It was my wedding anniversary, so partner booked it. But the reason he booked it was because it's the castle / estate house / hotel that they filmed the Rocky Horror Picture Show at. I got to stay there. It was so cool. In all fairness, they didn't really have any Rocky Horror stuff going on or anything. But like as soon as you walk in, you see the banister and everything that was used. And obviously you can see here, this is the window where the opening scene where, oh my God, I forgot his name. The guy who wrote the damn show. Oh, Richard O'Brien. Richard O'Brien first comes on the scene and sings that line in Where's the Light? Or There's the Light. So we got to explore the whole property. We got to spend the night. Poshest hotel room I've ever stayed in my life. There's going to be some footage coming out of that. It was fantastic. It was so lovely, and we really enjoyed our time. But I was so excited. And the funny part was we had actually planned this like last year, but something happened and we weren't able to go. But they wouldn't refund us our money for it. So they would only like book us for another time. But then as we were trying to book it for another time, they closed down for renovations. So it took almost a little over a year for us to get another booking. And it just so happened that it was right around our anniversary. So we used it as our little anniversary getaway this year. And it was so cool and so much fun. I don't know if any of you got that. I don't know if anyone really cared, but I did. Anyway, that's my deal. I was very excited, and I couldn't wait to share it with you guys. God, we have so many segments planned today. Fingers crossed we can get through all of them. I hope you guys can hang in there with me. Next segment is, and I put a poll out there on how British I've become so far, if at all. So what we're going to do is talk about that a little bit, if you guys don't mind. I don't know why it's asking me to sign in there. That is weird. Okay. So I hope you guys can see this. It's a little small. Let's do it this way. So how British have I become? So what do you think is the most British thing I've ever done so far? Something I said, something I did wrong, or do you think that I'm just nailing it? So I'm sure I'm just nailing it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, because obviously. So this poll has received 138 votes, which is really, really cool. It's a lot. Thank you all. So 8% of you said that there is a slight change in my accent, which I'm starting to be concerned about, because that's a good amount of people. I mean, it's the lowest amount on the poll, but it's a good amount of people. Has my accent changed? Because it doesn't feel like it has. It doesn't sound like it has to my ear. But I'm going to have to, now I'm going to be super conscious of it. 11% said the most English thing I've done so far is watch England play in a pub. I think that's an experience everyone who comes here has to have at least once. 15% is the use of British slang, which I'm picking up more and more and using more and more as we go. Maybe that's where the accent's changing. Maybe I'm doing a little bit of an accent with when I say some of the slang. See, now I'm like hyper aware. And with 66% of the vote, you guys said complaining about the weather, which I know that actually makes complete sense, because I've pretty much done nothing but complain about the weather for the past 2 months. It's been really cold. Anyways, some people were good enough to leave some comments for this one as well. So let's read through those, because these people are so gracious to have participated. Lady Dobbs 67 says, you're saying gotten, so there's still a bit more to go before you're British. You guys don't say gotten. It's just registering. Do you not say gotten? I guess not. I'm going to take her word for it. I don't know if that'll ever go away, though. Anyway, what do you guys say instead of gotten? Like, I've gotten to do this. I've gotten to go on the train. What would you say in that place? Could you leave it in the chat? And I'm going to check in with you all in a sec. Roger Simmons says, using the word gotten is a clear indication that you need to become more British. That's 2 of you. What would you say in place of gotten? I didn't even realize that. Y'all got me thinking. I didn't say gotten. I said got me. Just saying. Pedro, I'm just going to say Pedro. Only when you fall into a pub when it's... Oh, sorry. Let me start over. Only when you fall into a pub when it's blowing a hooligan outside, wearing oilskins and a sou'wester bellowing are never known a night like it. Can you call yourself British? Sorry, them's the rules. I only understood like half of that statement. Like, only when you fall into a pub when it's blowing a hooligan outside, I assume terrible, nasty British rain weather, wearing oilskins. I don't know what oilskins are. And sou'wester, maybe a southwestern storm, it's supposed to be. Or that maybe that's something you're supposed to be wearing. I have no idea. And obviously complaining about the weather. Can you call yourself British? Okay. What's this? What's this? A Wester? What is this? What is that? All right. Anyways, Glenn Wright says, I think that you're just like my American daughter-in-law. She lies awake worrying whether her children will be safe at school. She's appalled by the security guards and the way children are bundled into cars when she collects her youngest from kindergarten. As a clinician, she can't understand why there's such a laxity in issuing gun licenses to people with mental health problems. We could have a whole segment, a whole show about that. Apart from some who want all power and money in their grasp, we all share the same hopes and desires for families wherever we live. I agree. I think that's fair. I don't know if that makes me, I think it probably makes me a little bit more British, that I don't have to worry about that and I don't lie awake at night thinking about that, which I'm very grateful for. Watson Hayward says, until you understand how radical and extreme labor is, how much like the Democrats are, you really won't understand the absolute majority of either country. The Labor Party is not extreme. Trust me. The Democrats in America, for the most part, are not even close to extreme either. Becky. Hey, Bex. You'll be more British when you say Britain, pronouncing the T, and not Britain. And then she goes on, Britain. But you all don't say your consonants. The water in the water don't taste like an water. That's like one of the first things my father-in-law taught me to try to get a British accent going. You don't say your consonants though. The water. That's weird to me. I mean, we do. We say like D for T and things like that in New Jersey. That's a New Jersey accent. That I don't know if I'll ever get rid of completely. But anyways, moving on. Maxwell Moore says, remember, you're not complaining about the weather, just informing the other person at the bus stop who might not have noticed the force 10 winds and driving rain that's coming sideways into your face. I like that. Roger Gill says, clearly not British as all you say gotten. That's 3 people. And James Rowe goes on to say all of the above. Okay, most likely. Woo. Doug Brown says, I don't know how British you've become. You've not been here long, and I know your thoughts are crowded with disappointment in the country of your birth. I think trying to put aside the past might help you more fully engage in your present life. It's probably a good point. We can all pick up local habits when we live in another country, but I think it's more of an inside thing. It's becoming truly comfortable and familiar with our surroundings and society, and the way we instinctively think and react to that contributes more to our naturalization. I lived in a Buddhist country for some time. Ooh, that sounds interesting. And though I could function pretty well, I never managed to adopt their mindset. Understanding, let alone adopting decision-making and thought processes would confuse me on a daily basis. I totally identify with that. We had a fruit tree in our garden from which a neighbor would regularly steal. I was furious and ready to confront them, but that was unacceptable. My wife's solution was to cut down the tree. The logic was it removed the source of the anger and by its removal protected the karma of the thief. I kind of understood it, but I think I would have taken very many years for me to take on that way of thinking and feel truly renationalized. That's an extreme example, but I do think the average Brit has quite a different mindset to the average American, and it'll take you a while to fully slot into it. Don't worry too much about it. Take it easy, Hickey. Hickey? Does Hickey mean something different here in Britain? Because it means something very specific in America. But I do appreciate your comment, Doug Brown. And that's a really interesting story. Is it like, how much fruit were they taking? Can you, I don't know. I don't know that I would have gotten so upset about it, but I suppose it would have been, I don't know, maybe I would have. Because you're the one cultivating the tree and all that kind of stuff. So maybe. I don't know. I think if you're in that kind of mindset, if you're in a Buddhist area, it's kind of like a communal thought process, right? I'd be interested to know a little more. And Sai says, complaining about the weather is such a great thing. Can be used as small talk, an icebreaker, a conversation ender. So many uses for it. Yeah, that's all stuff I hate anyway. So I hate small talk. Well, mainly it's small talk that I hate. Anyway, so this is really weird that the comments are not coming up for me. I keep looking to the side. That's why I keep going, because I'm looking to see what you guys are talking about. But you guys have any thoughts on any of that stuff? Let's see. Congratulations on your anniversary. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely looks like a haunted house, and I think that's why it was chosen, because it's like very gothic looking, and it's very like, because for those of you who don't know the show Rocky Horror, they're basically aliens that have come from outer space to study the human behavior, and so it's got that kind of like, it's an old school B side, like comic booky kind of look, and that place has definitely gotten it, but it is gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. Manny says my guess would have been Oxford. I haven't been to Oxford yet. Hi, TJ. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it is. You're right, Diane. It is an absolutely beautiful building, and Windsor is very posh. I found out. It's a nice place. It's lovely, and the castle is pretty and everything. But yeah, it's quite posh. It's not a place I could be at a long period of time. But wow, was it a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you again. Thank you, Lorena, for the congratulations on my anniversary. Roy, thank you for joining us. Glad to have you here. TJ, thank you all for the congratulations. I appreciate that. Bex, you've gotten here. You've joined us. I don't know if you heard me read your comment, but we're glad to have you here. Sadistic Atheist, I think you're new. I appreciate you joining us. But Sadistic Atheist says, what was it advertised as being that movie location? Because if it was and there's no mention of the movie once you got there, that's bad. No, I don't think it was advertised as that. It's advertised as like a hotel and spa. So I didn't really expect like that they would have something there. I was just, I don't know. I thought maybe they'd have a plaque or something, but that's just me because I'm a huge fan. That's a fandom thing coming out, I guess. But it's okay because I knew, like, I could see the scenes and all that kind of stuff. So it was still cool. Lorena says, my husband loves a Rocky Horror Picture Show. He would have loved that for our anniversary. It was actually yesterday, 29 years. Happy anniversary and congratulations. We went out for breakfast and not a Rocky Horror Picture Show hotel. It probably would have been much more economical for us to just go out to breakfast. But in all fairness, we didn't really plan it to have it for our anniversary. It's just that was the only date that was available when we got the rebooking offer. And it just so happened that it was, and it was already paid for and everything last year. But we normally don't do anything like that for our anniversary. We normally do something very, like, we'll send the kid to someone's house for the night, and we normally celebrate or go out to dinner or something. We don't normally do anything big like that. It just so happened that because it was already paid for and it was around our anniversary, that we took advantage and made a weekend of it, because we normally don't. The only thing that we did that was big is we didn't even have a honeymoon. So the only thing that we did that was really big was when it was our anniversary right before we left the US, and we were doing our travel around the United States, and we happened to be in Hawaii around our anniversary at that point. And that was 10 years, I believe. And or I don't know if it was 10 years. I have to do the math. I don't care. It's around 10 years. Anyways, we did like a sunset cruise by ourselves and stuff like that for dinner while we were in Hawaii, and treated ourselves to that. But we really, normally it's like a diner breakfast or something. Like we're pretty low key as well. Hi, Sam K. Thanks for joining. TJ says, am I not British? I've never watched England play, let alone in a pub. You're not a football fan, right, TJ? Sam, got to. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Or maybe you're saying TJ's got to. Oh, that's what you're saying instead of gotten. I've gotten on the train. You say, I've got to the, I have got to the train. Is that how you say it? I have got on the train. I have got on the train. Okay. Simply got or caught the train in your example. I got to go to the movies. You would say I gotta. Gotten goes back to Shakespeare, Bex says. See, Bex is on my page. See, I'm actually just super refined, you guys. That's why I say it that way. It's all about the spin. We'd say anorak usually. Anorak instead of what? So Wester is bright yellow fisherman's long water windproof coat. Oh, so like a big yellow raincoat with the hood. Okay. What are in London way, not the whole country? Oh, well, okay. We live close to London, so not as close as some of you guys though do. Sadistic says, or as we would say up in the Northwest, that's done talka proper, like what us does. No idea if that was right. Sam K says it's 4 degrees Celsius outside right now. Do you want me to tell you what that is in Fahrenheit? Because I can. I have a nice little converter. It's 39 degrees Fahrenheit. I know that means nothing to you guys, but that's okay. X says you can't see me. Yeah, that's probably because I was showing you the things, right? But you could hear me, right? Still? So I had that problem because I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm doing, basically. It's only been almost 2 years. TJ and Sid, been a while since I've heard those words. TJ says hickey in that context is like Smithy or Jonesy. For example, Pilkington is like Pilky. Oh, okay. So hickey in America is when someone sucks on your skin and it leaves that like bruise type mark. Usually it's on the neck, but I have seen it on other places. I've seen it on other places. Piper asked if we visited Windsor Castle. We actually didn't. We were going to, but then we thought it was something that maybe the child would like to do with us. So we put it off until next time we go up. Yes, Lorena, a hickey is a love bite. Agreed. Thank you, Sam K, and thank you, Disco, for your lovely and generous super chats. You're awesome. I appreciate it. All right. So let's talk about work because I love that subject. Where are my notes? Okay, so what I hate about The Office. So I did put this out there for y'all as well, but you were not as responsive on this one. But that's okay because we're going to go through it anyway. Okay, so I just really like this meme, but I do think it's probably a little more poignant for America, which says, I've gotten to the point where I'm working here to pay for these prescriptions I now require to cope with working here. That was pretty close to where I got the last couple months. I was losing it. But there were some people who did answer, so I want to give them their due. Bex, our lovely Becky, who is joining us tonight, and I'm very glad because we've missed you. So I asked what the biggest pet peeve you have about your job or your coworkers was. And Bex says, my industry has not had a pay raise in 22 years. Yeah, that would, yeah. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine working 22 years and not having a pay raise. That's ridiculous. And Emojin, another favorite to the chat. Probably the sick notes. I think some just take the piss, to be honest, usually the younger end. I thought you didn't need a sick note. Like, honestly, a sick note reminds me of when, like, I was little and my mom had to write a note because I couldn't take gym for some reason. I don't know if you guys do the same kind of thing here. Like, I wasn't sick enough to stay out of school, but I was, like, still recovering or something like that, or I'd hurt my ankle or something. Yeah. I don't know. I've never given a sick note. I've just been like, yeah, I'm sick, and I didn't go to the doctor. I just leave it at that. So I did make a list of my stuff. And to be honest, this list was like 3 times as long. But as I have alluded to, and if you're are a returning participant in the to live stream, then you know that I've been struggling with work. So I think that a lot of that was just because I was struggling with work. So I was like nitpicking at everything. So I did pare it down to just a few. But these are my pet peeves about like work in general. And just to give you context, I work in an office, usually corporate type environment. So some of this might not like, you might not know what I'm talking about, but some of it I think would apply to most jobs. So the first one is the politics. I hate playing politics. I just like I can do it, but it just wears on me after a while, and I just don't want to freaking be bothered. I just want to be able to come in, do my job, and go home. The next one is how people like clean up and dress up when there's executives in the building or when there's like real high management in the building. Like they create this like fake office and you're just like, what the hell? You don't dress like that all the time. You don't even wear makeup most of the time. What are you doing in high heels and stuff? It's so ridiculous. It's so fake. It's just work how you work. Like I hate all of this shit. The other thing is where people treat their coworkers as if they're besties. Like we're not best friends. I have no problem being friendly with people at work. You have to be friendly with people at work. You spend a lot of time there, and if you aren't, you're gonna be extremely lonely. But like, they're like, come on, they're not your friend. They're just not. Stop treating them like they are. The next one is the forced small talk and socializing. I think I've mentioned this to you guys a few times. Can't stand anything like that. They do these like team building exercises and break up into groups and work together to try to solve a problem. No, it's not high school. We don't, do you know how we can create a really good team culture? By working together and lifting each other up in order to have a really positive environment. You don't need to do that team building stuff. If you need to do the team building stuff, then you're definitely missing the mark in other spots, in my opinion. That someone else's urgency has to be yours with no regard to your workload. It's happened so many times. Like they decided that this was important to them and that I have to stop what I'm doing because it's important to them. And as if I'm not in the middle of a project or in the middle of doing my own work. And my work's not important because their thing's important. 98% of the time, it's not. It's not an emergency. It's not super urgent. You could have waited 10 minutes or whatever. So, ugh. And the last thing that really gets under my skin about work is when people treat it like their home. They come in, they like leave like utensils there and stuff. You open their desk drawer and it's got like, I don't know, a week's worth of food in it or something. Or when they have like all kinds of pictures and stuff all over their desk. I mean, you just have a picture or two. Like you can, it's your workspace, right? You should be comfortable. But like when you have to move knickknacks and stuff around in order to work at the desk, I don't get that. I'm always poised. I'm a minimalist anyway. So I like even my desk now, it's got my planner on it. It's got my setup for, videos and stuff. And then it's got a mouse that's wireless and my glasses and my drink. That's it. And that's it. Nothing else in this room. We have a little bit of storage in this room, and then I have my lovely things behind me. That's all that's in this room. It's exactly how my office was in my old house in America. I had a desk, I had a chair, I had a closet for some storage. So I didn't really have anything out. And then I had a TV mounted on the wall so I could watch TV while I worked. Because there, I worked from home. But that's it. That's all I had in my office. I can't stand clutter. I can't stand having lots of stuff around that I don't need. So I guess that might be why people like treating their desk like it's their house. I'm at work. I realize I'm at work. It's like rented space, right? Even if it's my desk, it's still rented space. So I'm always poised for a clean getaway, which actually is a great segue into the next segment, and because it came in handy recently. So should I check in with you guys first and then go on and tell you? No, I'm just going to go on and tell you. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was I have a work update for you. Now, as I mentioned, I have been struggling at work. This job has been very difficult for me. It's been a lot of difficult personalities, and I've felt very singled out, and was trying to determine if it was me, if it was a cultural thing, if I was misreading people, if it was a communication error. Because as you guys know, I have trouble communicating sometimes with British people, just understanding their perspectives and just some implied things that you guys kind of grow up with and know, and I'm still learning and figuring out. But clearly, the job was not a good fit for me. So the update is that I am officially jobless. I have no job at the moment. I am not working at the moment, I should probably say. So, as I mentioned, I was a bit paranoid for a little while, thinking it was me, thinking I was doing something wrong. But as it turns out, it wasn't me. It was definitely a toxic workplace. I don't think I was intentionally being sabotaged now that I can look at it from a little bit clearer mind, but it was definitely a place that was full of two different types of people: bullies and people who placated the bullies. And since I am neither, that's why I had such a problem. And because I was neither, I think I was seen as a combatant. I think I was seen as some kind of threat. I'm not somebody that's going to intentionally, be confrontational. I'm a peacekeeper. I don't believe in that really. I think there's probably ways we can talk things out and work it out in most cases. But I also am not someone that's going to just roll over and let someone treat me like shit over an extended period of time, or talk down to me, or talk to me as if I'm beneath them just because they don't like what I have to say. And I'm definitely someone who's not just going to do what I'm told, especially if it makes no sense to me. And being that I was only under a year contract and considered a temp, manager's words, then I also didn't have any real loyalty to anyone, right? I hadn't been there for a long time. I had no real relationship developed with anybody. And that especially was a situation where I was able to just really step back and not have to get involved in stuff or not feel obligated to stuff. And I could tell, when the atmosphere was a complete joke, which it was. I just started to realize how much I really didn't fit in over the last few months. And look, people reject what they don't understand. They reject what they could never be. They feel like it's some kind of, reflection on them in some way. And I could finally see in the last couple of months exactly what was happening, exactly what was going on. So I did stick it out because I only had a few months left on the contract, and I was just like, it gives me time, right? It just buys me time to set myself up for when this contract's over. And rather than try to be the good worker and try to really fit in and try to understand everything, I just changed my approach. I just decided to keep my energy focused on planning my next move, my escape, if you want to call it that, and putting my energy in looking for another job. I would come in, I would have my AirPods in. I wouldn't socialize with anyone. I wouldn't really participate in a lot of the banter or anything. If someone needed help, of course, I would stop what I was doing. I would help them. I did my job. I did everything I had to do. I did it to the best of my ability. I didn't give anyone attitude unless they were giving me attitude in any way. But I just didn't make myself available for all the whining and complaining and the BS. And I stood my ground when people tried to push me around. And of course, it didn't sit well with a lot of people, but I don't really care. It made me feel a lot better. It made me feel a lot stressed, and I was not bringing as much crap home with me to my family, which of course is a huge win. So I ended up being able to go on some interviews, and I ended up getting an offer, a good offer. It was a little bit more money, less hours, doing the same thing that I'm doing. Didn't really change my lifestyle that much, didn't really change my commute that much. And so I decided to take it. But of course, I kept that all to myself. I kept coming in, doing my job, and leaving. And my contract is supposed to be up next Friday. But next Friday? This Friday, the 28th, this Friday. So on this past Thursday, I got called into my manager doesn't have an office. They don't have offices. So she called me into a meeting and decided, that if I wanted to, because, it's my choice, that I could just leave, finish out the day on Thursday, and then I don't have to come back for the rest of my contract. And I verified that I was going to get paid. I spoke to HR and I got something in writing to make sure. And I was like, okay. Since I already had the new job lined up, and considering everything that was going on and everything that I was dealing with, it wasn't a hard decision at all. And I haven't really looked back, to be honest. I've been in an amazing mood for the past few days because I haven't had to deal with any of that BS anymore. And I'm technically on paid leave because I'm getting paid till Friday and I start my new job in a week. Plus I had some vacation time saved up, so I'm getting paid a little extra. And I was able to work my starting date. Gave myself a week in between the end of the contract and the start of my new job anyway, because I knew I would need some recovering time. And because I had that extra vacation time, I had that vacation time pay still pending. I'm going to get paid out for that vacation time, and it's going to cover the time that I have off in between the starting my new job and leaving this job. So I find it really interesting that basically got exactly what I wanted by not playing any games. And to be honest, I'm completely ecstatic. Weight has been lifted off of me. I've been sleeping better. I've been much more relaxed and calm with my family. I am just better overall. I'm just doing better overall. I'm more focused. I have more energy. I'm focusing on my workouts and stuff again. I'm able to clean the house without being exhausted or forcing myself to do it. And at the end of the day, I couldn't be happier with how things ended with this job. I'm a little bit nervous and worried about the new job. Obviously, I'm coming off of this difficult experience, so I don't want to bring it with me. And I also don't want to get myself into another position where I'm going to have to deal with those politics or similar politics again. There's always politics, like I mentioned earlier, but I want to get myself into a place where I'm not bringing it home with me. And I think I'm just going to adopt the attitude that I had at the end of this contract. I think I'm just going to come in, do my job, do the best that I can, and then leave and not really get caught up in anything and just let the drama unfold around me and just sit there like, almost like an idiot. Just keep people at arm's length and preserve my energy because what matters most to me is my family. And so that's where I should be putting most of my energy, my real life. Yeah. I'm all about setting boundaries now and protecting my peace and feeling really centered and really clear-headed and better than I felt in a year, probably over a year, to be honest. I've learned a bunch of patience and I've learned a bunch about myself. And this job brought the absolute worst qualities of myself out. And I'm a little disappointed in myself, but at the same time, I probably wouldn't have realized the extent of buttons that can be pushed if I didn't have this job. So now I know where those boundaries are and I can enforce them. So I'm very happy. I was really excited to tell you guys because you all have been with me through this entire saga, and I'm celebrating. Guess what I have? Whew. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. All right, let's check in with y'all. Let's find out what your work pet peeves are in your stories. I'm interested. Yeah, hickeys are love bites. Yes. Hello, Craig. Thank you for joining. I'm very well. Thank you. I hope you're well as well. Oh, Piper, did you work at Windsor Castle? Do you have any tips? I will let you know. I will definitely let you know when we go see it. TJ's left us because I'm talking work. Probably because you're expecting me to bitch and moan. Manny, everyone keeps telling me that some of the Celsius to Fahrenheit's easy, but it's really I just do my little thing. Oh, Piper, I know you'll get something soon. I swear you will. It's Hickey and Nottingham, Craig. Yeah, Hickey. That's why they called me Hickey in the comment. I was like, "Am I a love bite?" Oh, jeez. You need a sick note if you take off a certain amount of days. Sick note is slang for somebody who is always off work. Oh, if it's just called a self-certificate, right? Because you're allowed to be off like for what, like a week, I think, without a doctor's note. Is that right? Sick note is required after 4 days where you work. Yeah, I thought it was something like that. In America, for one job that I worked, it was the only job that I was off for a long period of time where it wasn't like a predetermined situation. I had a really bad flu and I was off 2 days. And the third day I was still sick and not really tired, but my fever had broken and I was feeling a little bit better. So I just loaded myself up with drugs and went to work. And I was like, and I remember calling my boss and saying, I'm coming in, but I might leave a little bit early or something because I'm still not really well. And they actually gave me a hard time because I didn't have a doctor's note for the second day. And I was like, I'm a fucking grown-up. It's the flu. No one has the flu for a day. You could clearly tell I'm sick. I'm in office. You could see I'm still sick. And they didn't send me home or anything, but they bitched and moaned that I didn't have a doctor's note for the second day. Apparently that's like a rule for the company. But I'd worked for the company for a few years, so they're like, we're going to let you off because we know you're not one of those people that's like habitually sick and calling out all the time. But And mind you, there's not like there's unlimited sick time in America. You get like 5 days where you can call out for an emergency, which sick is considered an emergency. So it is whatever. Anyway, moving along. Lorena says, my biggest pet peeve is that my boss thinks it's wild that I am online with these Hicksondiaries instead of doing work. Yeah, I'm the boss. Oh, Lorena. If you need help where I can work from home, just let me know. I have this job, and when I did the interview, I said, they asked if I had any questions. I said, oh, is there any opportunity to work from home? And the manager's like, no. I was like, oh, none? They're like, no. Everybody comes in the office. I was like, okay. I miss it so much. TJ says, my pet peeve is that some people think I'm 5 years old. Is that because of how you act, TJ? Mandy says, yeah, I agree, Mandy. The office politics is just an utter drain. Yeah, there are some people that have told me that they love going to work because they like the socializing and all that. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I don't want it to sound like I'm being obnoxious because obviously people are sick or something. I care about that. Like, I'm a human. Like, I'm a humanist and I care about other human beings and I don't want anyone to be sick or hurt or anything like that. But like, I don't care about, like, if you don't say good morning to me in the morning, I'm okay. Like, I don't get offended. I don't care. And I don't like the having to say good morning to everybody as you're coming into all that. Just let it be real. Just don't be fake. Anyway, Craig Lee says you need a sick note from the doctors if you're off work for 7 days. Sounds like it might depend on the company a little bit. Piper says, I worked in retail mostly. My pet peeve would be our managers thinking we're happy to work there. Retail's hard. I've worked retail. It's hard. TJ says, no, you don't have to be friendly, just professional. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people like confuse friendly and social with professionalism. I was never unprofessional, but if you're gonna come at me and try to blame something on me as if it's my fault when I clearly had nothing to do with it, I'm not gonna sit there and let you blame me for it. Who would? That's stupid. Diane says, I hate team building with a passion. Oh my God, I agree. It is awful. I hate that forced crap. Bex agrees with us. Effing team building / icebreaker cripe shite. Yes. Rise. Is it Rise? Am I saying that? RHYS. Am I saying that right? Because I know I've seen it a few times and I've always said Rise, but I don't know if it's right. I'm just being honest with you. I don't want to offend. But Rise says team building exercises always feel like forced fun, not my cup of tea. 1000%. And thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate you being here. Piper says, I personally like being friendly because it makes time go faster, and I'd love for a colleague to become my friend, but perhaps retail is different. Time just goes by faster when you're chatting. I agree, Piper. It also made me want to come to work. Look, I agree. I think you should be able to have friendly chats with people. I don't think you should be a jerk off to the people that you work with. I just don't, there's a line, right? Like, it's okay. Even if you do decide, hey, we're going to go to the pub for lunch, or we're going to go to the pub for a beer after work on a Friday because we've had a rough week. I don't have a problem with that either, but it has to be organic. Like, don't force it. Like, if we get along and we want to hang out, cool. But like the forced stuff, like the forced team lunches, and don't force it. If people don't get along on a friendly level, that's okay. So long as they get along on a professional level, that's perfectly. We're not at this job because we have nothing else to do. Like, we're there to make money, to pay our bills, right? Most people are not going to a job to, like, for any reason other than to make money. Possibly further their careers and things like that, but that's usually a sideline. Usually you start working because you need the money. Most people aren't going to work if they don't need the money, or at least work in these types of jobs. They'd be working doing something else they really love. So it's okay. We all have to do what we have to do to get the bills paid, but don't force me to be friends with someone that I don't want to be friends with. I'm a fucking adult. Mojin says, I can't relate to any of that. I'm a train driver, and people laugh when I tell them it can be very lonely. Really? Do you not speak to anybody when you're driving the train? I don't know. They're long shifts too, right? I know in America they're like 12-hour shifts. Because I knew someone who, friend of my daughter's father, who I had met a few times, was a train driver, and he worked long hours and crazy hours. Lorena says, you just reminded me why I'm self-employed. When I did work, I hated when I had to justify my days off, not mentioning how few days we have off in the US. Yeah. I hate that whole, and then some bosses will like try to get all the details out as well of you. Like if I said, oh, I had an appointment with my kid. Oh, is she sick? Oh, are they okay? What do you think they have? What are the symptoms? Like, this is my kid. Step the fuck off. You don't need to be involved in any of that. Falco says, just remember no one's last words were, I wish I spent more time at the office. Agree. And people need, management and stuff needs to know that. Diane says, I hate people arguing over window blinds, air conditioning, and lights. That's a good one. That's a really good one. It's like, oh, I'm freezing. I'm going to turn the heat up. And the next person's like, I'm so hot. Oh, I can't turn the heat down because someone will complain. It's like, I know you guys don't have high school here, but like in high school, it's like childish shit like that. And it's like, I always say it's like 13th grade. It's because we leave school at 12th grade. I'm like, it's like 13th grade. You're an adult, but you're acting like a fucking 12-year-old or an idiot teenager. TJ says, I have an access to work desk and chair. It's mine. No one else can use it. Nice. I used to come into this office because there was the factory workers and the warehouse workers worked 24 hours, and they would go into the office and use the desks sometimes over the night shifts and stuff. So I would come into the office, and the desk that I was using would be filthy. Every single day I'd have to clean it. And I'm just like, because my desk was one of the ones that was like the first one you saw when you came into the office. So, and it was clean, so it looked like no one used it. So it would constantly be filthy, and I'd have to like wipe it down every time before I sat on it. I wore a dress that I really liked to work one day, and I didn't realize how filthy it was. And it was like grease, and I got it all over my dress, and it ruined my dress. And I was pissed. So I refused to dress up for that fucking place after that. I just wore jeans and like hoodies. It's like, go ahead. What are you going to say? Piper says, I always enjoyed going out to places with colleagues after work. I always did too, depending on the colleagues. There were some offices where I did get along with my colleagues, and it was a natural thing. We had just developed relationships and stuff. And even when, like, once in a while, like, we would have some of the offices I worked in, we would have like one Friday a month, they would have like a thing at the local bar or whatever, and everybody, everyone in the vicinity was invited to come. And I had gone to those a few times, and they were fine. They were fun. I'd gone to some office Christmas parties and stuff, and they were great. I had a great time. But it's not like it's not a you can't force it, right, Piper? Like, it has to be natural. TJ says, did you have an exit interview? No. I literally was at my desk, and it was like 15 minutes before I was ready to leave. No one talked to me. My boss didn't check to make sure, this is the stuff that's pending that I have to pass on. None of that kind of conversation. Never had a meeting with HR except for them calling me, telling me that I had the thing in writing that they were sending to me and asking me if I needed a reference. No one asked me about anything. No one had a conversation with me about anything. Lorena says, wow, that is a huge change. I'm sorry that you had to experience that toxic workplace. Yeah, it was a tough experience, but I'm done with it now. So Sadistic says, were you sacked or did you quit? Because whichever it was can affect the unemployment benefits that you can claim. It was a contract and I was supposed to be done with the contract anyway. And they were paying me till the end of the contract, even though they let me go early. So I had an amendment to my contract saying that my last day was last Thursday, but they were paying me up until the 28th. So I'm not going to claim unemployment benefits because I don't need to. So it'll just sit there, but I'm good. They're paying me basically to not work. So, okay. Emotion says some work environments are just toxic and you shouldn't look for a reason for their behavior. It's just the way they are. Yeah, it's just it took a while for it to click that it was toxic. You know what I mean? It took a while for it to click that it was the culture that I was working in and wasn't me or wasn't just like a personality thing with some of the people. But now that I know the signs a little bit better, I'll be able to see it next time a lot earlier. And I felt it, like I had it like 3 months in, I had this like knot in my stomach and I was having a conversation with my partner and I was like, I don't think this place is all right. Like, I think there's something wrong with this place. And, you know, they were lovely. Obviously, he was fantastic and said, you know, well, if it's that terrible, just look for something else and move on. And we just had so much going on that it just like life took over. And then I was 6 months in and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Manny says, another thing I hate in the workplace is bullying and intimidation. Yeah. Yeah. I just quit or got paid off, Disco says. Very, very good situations to come from. Well done. Diane says, I'm sorry you've had that experience. Thank you. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I think most of us have had the same experience as you. I know I have. Oh, I'm sorry you had that experience. And anyone else has had that experience. It's awful. Piper says, I had a similar experience. I'm sorry to hear that. When I worked in a camping shop, I worked there for 3 years, but I fell out with my supervisor who had problems at home and started to take it out on me and others. Yeah, I get it. Like, it's hard sometimes to separate work and home. And you want to be sympathetic, but there is a point where the professional line has to take hold. And if you can't do it, then you have to move on, whatever the situation is. And I just found to a point where I was like, I can't be professional and participate in any of this BS. Sadistic said, oh my God, you weren't one of those 0-hour contracts where you they're a ripoff. I hate them. No, I had guaranteed hours. I had guaranteed time and stuff. It was just a temporary thing because originally I was only pulled in to cover someone's medical leave for a year. And then funny enough, before I got, like as I was in the beginning of my little attitude change thing where I wasn't really participating, we found out that the person that I was covering was actually offered a different position and they took it. So it had gone 2 or 3 weeks or something along those lines, a couple weeks where we knew about that, but no one had approached me about like taking the job over or anything like that. So I was just like, it's okay because I'm not going to do it anyway. But like, I don't know, a few days after I got my offer and accepted it, the manager called me in and asked me if I was interested in the position. And I was like, no. Thank you. Thank you, but move on. So it was kind of nice. Like that was, you know, a little moment for me. Disco says, I really struggled with management that couldn't organize a piss up a brewery. Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people get promoted that are just been with the company a while and stuff, and not necessarily actual managerial material, and they don't get trained either. There's no investment in like, there's a big difference between being a boss and being a leader and a manager. And being a boss, anyone can be a boss, but being an actual manager and managing people and leading people is completely different. And it's really hard. It's really hard. It's not for everybody. I was a manager for a bit and I struggled a lot. And I had to, you know, find resources to help me because I was struggling. So it's difficult. You have to manage a lot of different personalities. You have to manage tons of expectations. You have, you have to be the bridge between your team and upper management, which isn't always realistic with their expectations. And it's difficult. It's really hard. And most companies don't invest in any kind of training. Manny says, especially for middle management, they don't invest at all. Manny says, a couple years ago, I had a manager who was a total effing prick, not only towards me, but other members of the staff. He was soon shafted from his job. Hate bosses who think they can bully people. Yeah, 1000%. I'm with you on that, Manny. Anyone who thinks they can bully you. They don't have to be your boss. I had coworkers thinking they could bully me. People didn't even work in my team or my department. Sam K says, Manny, there's a scheme that allows you to advertise for pay for companies on your vehicle while you just drive around busy places, of course, to allow the advertisement to be seen. Yeah, but I don't drive yet, so that doesn't work for me just yet, but I will bear that in mind for future, because one of my goals for 2025 is to get my license. Lorena says, yay, congratulations on your new opportunity and good luck to you. Thank you. Piper says, congrats. Thank you very much, Piper. Emojin says, oh, I feel relieved you have something else lined up. Yeah, I was on that pretty quickly. Once I realized, like, this is not something I'm going to try to pursue outside of this contract, I was on it. I was like talking to recruiters. I was putting my resume out there. I was applying. I was doing what I had to do. But thank you. Sadistic says, make yourself indispensable and take a lot of their clients with you. Revenge is sweet and so much fun. Yeah, I did that with a job once. It wasn't clients, but I had made myself so indispensable that I had kept in touch with a coworker after I left, and the coworker said, yeah, it's been like 2 months and they still haven't found anyone to fill your position because no one wants to do all that extra work. No one wants to do all the work, basically, for the money they're paying. And I was like, they should have just given me a raise like I asked for. Thank you, TJ. Appreciate that. Sam says, auto or YouTube is doubling up certain words I type. Typical. You always complain about that. You always complain about the typing. You sure it's not just your typing, Sam? Just saying. Disco says family comes first. Absolutely. I was in a position once where my family didn't, and I regret that portion of my life so much. And I'm not ever going to let that happen again. I don't give a shit. I will live in someone's car. I'll live in someone's fucking living room if I have to. I am not doing that ever again. Manny says, good luck in your new job. Thank you. Hopefully a fresh new start. My advice is when the workday is over, leave work at work and don't take it home and enjoy your time away from work. Yes, that's what I'm hoping I can do. It's not always easy for me personally, but I am trying. I am doing much better than I used to do. I used to be really bad about it, but I am much better. Yes, Disco. Wild turkey. I think y'all should write a letter to the executives at Wild Turkey to start paying me to advertise their brand on my stream and all my videos as well. Oh, and while you're there, make sure that you send it to the Rangers as well so I can get brand deals for both of them. Okay? Thanks. Sam says, perhaps start pushing other people's buttons for a change. Yeah. Well, me just standing up for myself and me not participating in stuff and being like, well, I did send you an email on it. Did you not read your email? That was pushing their buttons a lot. I could tell they were getting really frustrated with it. Yeah. Piper says, I worked in the Tower of London. Love that. Love it. And another heritage site. Both were summer jobs, so they were temporary. Right. That's right. I remembered that you had done a couple. That's why I asked if you did Windsor Castle, because I remembered that you had done a couple heritage sites. Mojin says, on the railway, if you sign on for work sick, you could be on a disciplinary. What? Emojin, are you in the UK or are you in the US? I'm just curious because I'm trying to figure out if it's a privately owned railway or not. Sounds like a US thing, but I know there's a lot of US practices being adopted here in the UK, which I'm not fucking happy about. Piper says, oh, sorry, that's between you guys. TJ says I'm cheeky. Well, TJ, could you read your email for me when you have a chance? Jewel Chilaka, nice, says, hi, good evening. Are you in the UK? Thank you for joining. Good evening to you as well. I am in the UK. I'm have moved here 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago. Thank you so much for joining us. Have I been to Worcester? Yeah. I've said it like 15 times. No, I have not. I have a huge list of stuff. That was another thing is we had a whole list of places that we were going to go on weekends and things that we were going to do. And I was so exhausted from this job that I kept being like, no, I can't do it. I can't be asked. I can't get out of bed. I it was really affecting me physically. I was getting into a little bit of a depression about it. And that's when my partner was like, you need to get another job. You need to figure this out. Thank God I listened to him. He's a good egg. Roy Cousins says, I was on a team building course that nearly ended in a fight. Yeah, it never goes well at all. TJ's most of the time, no one usually comes out of it either. The relationships are never strengthened by it for any reason. And you usually don't learn anything else. They're a waste of time. There's something that HR or the manager can just put on paper saying that they did this so that they don't have to be bothered about it for another year or something. TJ says, not because of me, because I have been in the same company for 35 years. I know the drill better than any new management. Ah, there you go. Jewel asks if I totally like the cold because they adore the cold. In the UK, it's glorious in the cold. I don't like the cold. I don't mind the actual cold weather, but I hate wind. I hate snow. I'm not a fan of rain, but I can tolerate it. And I don't like ice. And when it's really frigid, yeah, I don't like that either. But other than that, Disco says, I remember being in a job and a manager was younger than the length of time I'd been at the job. Yeah. I've not been in that position, to be honest with you, but I'm getting up there, so probably will be at some point. Manny, thank you so much for the very generous super chat. I appreciate it. Mojin says, I don't think I would make a very good American in the American workplace. My fuse is very short when it comes to BS. Yeah, it's a whole different animal in America. It really is. Disco agrees with you. Piper says, I got blamed very aggressively for a large amount of money being missing from the till. Then I was dismissed early. Turns out no money was missing, and it was the new person's fault. Yeah. I was angry and very upset with my supervisor for treating me that way. No kidding. I don't blame you. I hope you stood up for yourself. The US is crap for normal everyday workers. Oh yeah, Piper. I agreed. It has to be organic. You have to actually have a rapport with someone. It can't just be like okay, we're gonna go out and have pizza and beer now as a team building. Jules asking what title of the job I'm working in. I work in the supply chain. So purchasing basically. Emojin says, imagine having Elon Musk as your boss. Where is the AK-47 guns? Well, I don't believe in guns, but yeah, I would quit. The minute I found out he was my boss, I'd quit. I don't even care if I had anything lined up. Oh, God forbid. Yeah. Mandy's boomerang made a comeback in the background. Yes. You know what it is? I tried to hang it up a couple times and it kept falling down. So I have to get different hooks or something. I'm gonna get some pictures and stuff to put up on the wall as well. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Where am I? I was indispensable once. They kept me from a promotion and I had proof. Not asked now, do the job, go home, nothing else. 1000% TJ, I'm on it. Emojin, you're in Newcastle. Oh, okay. So I forgot why I asked you. For the railway. So is it a private railway, Emojin? Winter sucks. It's the worst season of the year. I agree. I love summer, and you guys don't have nearly as long a summer as I would like. Okay, so all right, let's move along to the next thing. We're at 1:15, but I have a ton of stuff. So if you guys want to hang around, you are more than welcome. I'm going to definitely go through it. My mouse is frozen. Okay. Finding my notes, taking a sip. Channel updates. Woo-hoo! So on to some good and fun things. Okay, so if you guys have been with me for a little longer than, I don't know, a couple months, you might remember that there was a time right when we became a YouTube partner that I did some memberships. And it didn't go over very well because I had overextended myself and made a bunch of promises for the memberships that I could not fulfill. I just started to lose track of time and lose track of a whole bunch of things. So I was very overwhelmed. So I decided I'm just going to close it down and I'm just going to regroup. And I did ask the community at one point if they thought it was worth me bringing it back. And to be honest, most of you were not in favor of it. I think it was like 60 or 70% that said, nah, it's not even worth it. I wouldn't consider it, which I completely understand. However, I was thinking about it a lot, and I'm whenever I think about the channel, there's always a nagging thing in the back of my mind of how I can raise more money. And just so that you all know, just in case you are new with us or you've forgotten, we donate money to the Royal British Legion every month off of our profit, off of our revenue. Actually, it's not even our profit. So the minute that we get any money in, a portion of that immediately goes to the Royal British Legion in that bucket. Then, of course, we pay our expenses and everything like that. So I have to say, it's the majority of the money that we make. Okay, it's a really good portion of the money that we make, which is why I don't have a microphone yet and things like that. But anyways, so I'm always trying to think of how we can fundraise or how we can do more things. And the more I thought about memberships, the more I felt like I should do it anyway, even if it's only a few people that can do it, because I don't want to put pressure on anybody. I understand. But if there is one or two people, even if it's just one or two people who would be interested, it's worth it, because it's really, we're just missing an opportunity to donate those extra pounds to the Royal British Legion every month. So I have reinstated membership for the channel. No pressure. If you can't do it, I totally understand. Times are hard right now for a lot of people, but I did revamp it. Something that I hope will be acceptable for anyone who is in a position to participate, and will also be something I'll actually be able to meet the obligations for. So let me just give you guys a heads up of what's up. Now, I call this the someone else. I'm not going to say who. Should I say? I'm not going to say who, but someone was helping me try to figure out if to figure out like a name for the members. And this is what we came up with, but I'm not married to it and I might change it. I do like it, but I don't know if it fits. So I'm interested in your feedback on that as well. So basically we're calling it the Mandyverse Collective, which has a little bit of like a superhero Marvel tone to it. So I don't know. I'm not really into that stuff. But anyway, it's only going to be a 1-tier membership, £2.99 a month. You're going to get loyalty badges, emojis, member shout outs. You'll get priority reply to comments because you guys know I'm always behind on replying to the comments. There's going to be members only polls. There is going to be members only footage and videos. It's not going to be on a regular basis. It's going to be whenever I can upload it. But there will be some members only content that's going to be out there as well. And there's going to be £1 of every membership fee is going to go directly to the Royal British Legion. So that's going to be calculated a little bit separately. A little extra work for me, but it's going to end up being a little bit more for the British Legion. So if you guys are interested, hit that join button below and it'll walk you right through it. It's really, really easy. If you're not interested or you can't do it, again, it's totally fine. I'm not pushing it as far as that. I'll mention it here and there, but don't worry. Okay, like everything else is still going to stay the same. I just really want to try to hit that £1,000 goal that we have to donate to the Royal British Legion for all of 2025. So every pound helps, right? So anything that we can do. And yeah, if you're there, you have any questions, you have any problems, you have any issues with getting any of the information, then just let me know. And if you have a suggestion for a name for the members, let me know about that as well. I'd be curious. So that is one channel update that I'm excited to share with you. The next one is something I've been working on behind the scenes for a while now. And I have to admit is a little bit of a jewel in my crown. And I want to share it with you if I can get to that point now. Are you all ready? It's my website! Oh my God, I'm so excited to unveil this. Y'all have no idea. I've worked so hard on it. Hopefully you guys think it's okay. It's still sort of a work in progress. There's still some things behind the scenes we're working on. But for the most part, it's pretty basic at this point. But like I said, we are working on some things and we have some features that I want to show you all about. So if you go to the Hicksondiaries.com, and side note, I remember 6 months ago or so on a live stream, someone asked for the email address and I said Hicksondiaries.com. And I remember making some comment to the effect of, wouldn't that be awesome if someday I could have my own website? Deserves a sip. Cheers, clink. I know it's a Tuesday and a lot of you probably have to work, but I don't. Anyway, okay, so this is our home page. We have the poppies behind the scenes here because of the Royal British Legion, obviously, and our welcome logo that we have on the channel. And we have our nice little menu up here. So if you click About to find out more about us, and it gives you a few snapshots of some of the things we've done and explains a little bit about why I'm doing this and what I'd like to get out of the website and the channel overall. So it says, challenging the world by challenging myself. Come discover my life as an American living in the UK, embracing the rich tapestry of British culture, exploring historical landmarks, indulging in local cuisine, and navigating the highs and lows of my journey. Join me as I share the triumphs, trials, and tribulations of finding my feet in my new home. In this community, we find innovative and exciting ways to better ourselves so we can better the world around us. With open minds and open hearts, we offer insight, explanations, perspectives, and most importantly, hope. By listening to each other and challenging our perspectives, we push each other to discover a new and hopefully better way of doing things so that we can help others and make the world a better place, one conversation at a time. What I really want this website to be is an extension of the community we have here on the channel, on the Hickson Diaries, and of a way of like what we do in the chat, like what we do in the live stream, not just about like my problems and you guys helping me with my stuff, but being able to create a community and a safe space for everybody to help each other. So if someone's having an issue, someone's having a problem, or someone just wants to learn, or someone needs help, a place where we can, as an actual community, as if we were in person, the same kind of situation where we could reach out and help each other out. And of course, try to help our community and our countries, our home, as much as we can as well. There is a link that talks about our partnership with the Royal British Legion, supporting those supporting those who've sacrificed our protection. There's a button here that you can click, and it takes you right to the Royal British Legion site if you want to donate directly, because of course I encourage that as much as I encourage donating to the channel. And it explains how we donate a portion of our proceeds and how our proceeds, how we take in our revenue, and how we collect the revenue in order to send to them every month. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it tells you, it gives you a link here. If you click this link, it takes you right to the help site, the help page on the Royal British Legion website directly. So if you click on that, it takes you right here where you can get in touch with someone to get them support, to get them help, or for you to go and get yourself support and help as well if you need it. To me, that's extremely important. That's the whole reason that the Royal British Legion is there, and the whole reason that we have a partnership with them is to try to help people as much as we can. There's also a link at the top directly to our YouTube channel, because obviously we want to make it easy for people to find us. We have a blog, which for those of you who don't know, is basically just a written form of the videos. It's not going to be exactly the videos. It's going to be new information, different information. Y'all will be able to reply. And if you want to participate and be a writer for the post or anything like that, and you're part of the community, then we can have a conversation offline about that, because I would like to extend that and open that up to everybody as well. You click on the shop for some merch. I don't know that anyone's going to actually buy it, because right now we only have these couple digital download posters. But I'm going to look into some more merch and do some more things behind the scenes, like I said, and get some more stuff up there. Again, if you're inclined and if you care at all. And if you don't, there's obviously no obligation. But again, a portion of these proceeds will be in that RBL bucket as well. And there's a contact list for you to send an email to hicksondiaries@gmail.com if you have questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, etc. All of our social media up here. And if you click on the login, you can become a member. So the membership to the website is free. But what it does is you basically are giving me your email list and your email address so you can join our email list. And what that does is you'll get a monthly newsletter that's just talking about some things that are coming up for the channel, maybe some fundraising events for the RBL that you might want to participate in your area, things like that. And also it will just have an email list so I can send you information if there's anything going on, if something happens with the channel, if there's a crisis, or there's something, that we want to rally around, if we do come up with a fundraising idea, and you all want to volunteer and participate behind the scenes, things like that. Just in case something does go wrong with YouTube or something does go wrong with the website, I can get in touch with you guys still, and we can still keep the community going offline until the situation gets rectified or changed in whatever way it has to at that point. I always have contingency plans, like I said before. I always ready for a clean getaway, so just in case. So if you guys are so inclined and want to participate, take a look at Hicksondiaries.com. I'm going to put a link in the description box on this when I post it out there. If you can create the account, that would be great. And just as a thank you, if you guys want to go right in and just put your email in and be part of the email list, you will get a free digital download of one of those digital downloads that's for sale. You want to see which one? I know you do. It's this one. So what happens is as soon as it's this one. I don't think I'm presenting it, but I'm telling you, it's this one, and I'm not presenting the right one. Okay, it's this one. So the next show will be better because of you. What happens is you'll enter that you want to create an account, you'll enter your email address, and then you'll get an email with a link that helps you, that you can just click and download and save this as a PDF, print it out, and you can put it on your wall, use it as wallpaper or whatever. It is licensed, so please don't violate any copyright laws but it's my little way of saying thank you for getting this website and email list off the ground for me. And those are my really exciting channel dates. Oh, I'm so happy and excited. I've been working on the website for a really long time, so I hope it goes over well. Also, if you guys have suggestions for that, you can let me know as well. Okay, let's check in with the chat some more, get your feedback. Yes, please hit those like buttons if you can. I appreciate that. If you're still around, you haven't been able to get into the Substack. Huh. That's weird. Okay, I'll check that out. Thank you for letting me know, Disco. I just feel the need to rant, Piper says. Okay. But the same supervisor blamed me for a large metal rail from falling down. Not my fault. Told me to deal with it alone. Me, a 5'3" woman, I tried to put it back. All evening, I couldn't, and it was so humiliating. I had tears in my eyes. I complained about him to my manager. Rant over. Look, everybody needs time to rant sometimes. It's totally fine, Piper. I don't mind. I'm really, really sorry that you had that happen to you, and it is humiliating. You're not old and decrepit. Falco, I remember you did have a membership. I remember that. I appreciate it. Disco says we should be called the Hickeys. Actually, I don't hate it, but yeah, look, all of you are like the Hickeys. Roy says Mandy's Minions. That's a good one as well. Mandy's Hickeys. TJ says, cheers, Clink. I'm not in work. Nice. Can I put the website in the chat? I cannot put the website in the chat because the chat is not working on my computer. But this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be in the description box below, and then I'll make sure I do it next week for y'all. Maybe I'll do a separate post. I'm going to do a separate post announcing it too. I'm trying to think if there's a way, because I'm signed in on my private account on my phone, and no offense, but unless you're already approved to be on my private account, I don't want to give it away, and that's kind of why I'm hesitating. I don't know if there's anyone else out there that would be able to just copy the link and put it in the chat for us. Piper, it was actually Wix, and it was really, I did it myself. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. In all fairness, I had some feedback from some people in my private life that helped me along as well. Oh, sacrifice is misspelled. Oh, that's okay. It's an easy fix. Thank you for letting me know. And thank you for the compliment. Thank you, Manny, for the compliment. How do you find a subscription membership for the channel? It should be live. So hold on one second. I'm just gonna. There should be a join button below the videos. And it's not showing as well. I might need to click a button. Hold, please. While I'm doing this, you guys let me know in the chat if you want to stick around, because we're at a 2-hour mark now. And I know it's Tuesday night. If you want to stick around and do some reacts, or if y'all are done. Oh, it's saying my shit's still in review. That's why. That's weird. Usually it doesn't take that long. And all right, so it says my stuff's still in review, and that's why you can't see the join button. But the join button will be there, hopefully by tomorrow. I will definitely work on that tonight if I'm not too drunk. Thank you so much. I appreciate all. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much for all the good wishes on the website. You can do it with your own QR code. When people scan a QR code, it loads the website on their devices. I have to create a QR code, though, and I'm pretty sure I have to go to a different website to create the QR code. Although I could add it to the website. I'll work on that. Oh, we're only at the 90-minute mark. Oh, I thought we were longer for some reason. So you guys decide. You want to hang out a little bit and do some reacts, or if you all have to go, I understand. I mean, I kind of understand. I'm not working, so I'm not a working gal right now. But hey, I'm happy. Can I just say, so I've been off. Yeah, Thursday was my last day. And I said that the 15 minutes before I was supposed to leave, nobody had any conversations with me or anything like that. So I cleared my web browsing history, which I always do when I leave. I don't do anything personal at work, but I just do it anyway. I made sure all my emails were put away or forwarded and the appropriate people were copied on it or whatever. I made sure I had everything out of my desk, and it was like 5 of, and no one's still having any conversations with me or anything. And no announcement's been made either that I'm not coming back to the office or that so-and-so is going to be taking my work on, nothing like that. So I was just like, not my problem. So I gathered all my stuff, put my coat on, bundled myself up because it was freaking cold, of course. And I just walked out, and I was just like, see y'all. And I guarantee most of the people were like, oh yeah, I'll just see you tomorrow. Although I usually work from home on Fridays and I didn't have my laptop with me. But they assumed they would see me the next day because no one made any announcements or anything. But that is pretty typical. And I walked out and I was just like, yeah, I'm actually glad it worked out for the best. Because I don't want to have conversations with these people. I don't really care. I don't care enough to... I don't care enough to have this big, long, drawn out goodbye. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it is. It's not like I don't care about them. It's just that it's like, well, whatever. The more you... All right. I just got it. Literally just got an email saying that my stuff was approved. So I'm just looking at it to try to see if the join button's on there or if there's something else I have to do for this. Yeah, launch. You're ready to launch. Membership is launched officially. I just clicked the button. See how easy that was? I mean, come on, guys. That's how easy it is. You just click a button right next to the channel logo. It should say join. I'm trying to hold on. I can't. Ugh, I hate the StreamYard only works in Chrome, and half of my stuff is from Apple, so it's just annoying. I'm gonna show you guys in a second. I just have to get my shit together here because I wasn't planning on this part. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you. Bear with me. Bear with me. So if you guys see below the video, you see this join button here. I don't know if it's below with the live. I would assume it is. Yep. If you go on there, it should be there. Oh, hi everybody. So that should help you out a little bit. Okay. Have a good evening, everyone. Manny says, have a fab week and see you all next week. Thank you, Manny. You as well. It's the way to go. No fuss, no fanfare, just go. I know. I definitely prefer it that way. Everyone be safe. I'm going to have to go in a few minutes as well. Lorena says, I'll look up the button tomorrow. Have a good night. Piper says she'll stick around. I don't know if TJ's going to stick around. Looks like y'all are. And Emojin, Sam. Good night, Manny. All right. Do you guys want to do a reaction to Hugh Laurie's take on working in the US versus working in the UK? BBC, my BlackBerry is not working. I was told it was funny. Is that from the two Ronnies? I can't tell. Ronnie Corbett and Harry Enfield star in this fruity sketch from the one Ronnie. Oh, okay. And then there's a rant by Jonathan Pye on the corporate con. So which one would you guys like to watch if you're still sticking around? Oh, thank you, Piper. I appreciate it. Yay. BlackBerry not working? Okay, let's do the BlackBerry's not working. All right. No, this one. This is the one I want. Okay. You ready?
I bought something from you last week. And I'm very disappointed.
Oh, yeah? What's the problem?
Yeah, well, my BlackBerry is not working.
I saw all the fruit and veg and I was like, what is, I thought it was a BlackBerry. It got me. Oh, I love it. All right, let's see.
What's the matter? Run out of juice?
No, it's completely frozen.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I'll tell you what. Let's try it on orange.
That's got a few black spots, you see.
Is orange is a phone company, right? I have to keep it down a little bit. My child's sleeping. Actually, no, I just thought of it.
Oh, dear, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Was there anything I do to get my BlackBerry working?
Well, it could be an application issue. But where do you store that BlackBerry?
It's on my desktop.
Well, you could try using a mouse to drag the BlackBerry to the trash. Then after you've done that, you might want to launch the BlackBerry from the desktop.
Well, I've already tried that a few times. I mean, all it did was mess up Windows.
Well, it might be worth waiting a couple of weeks. They got the latest BlackBerries coming in then.
Well, could you give me a date?
Certainly.
Let me put that date in my diary.
Anything else I can help you with?
Yes. I've also got a problem, to be honest, with my Apple.
Oh, dear. That is an old Apple, isn't it?
Yeah.
When did you buy that?
Last week.
Last week? Oh, they brought out 2 new Apples since then. What's the problem with it?
Well, I've tried to put my dongle in it, and it won't fit.
Oh, yeah. And how big's your dongle?
Well, I don't know much about these things, but my wife's seen a few dongles in her time. And she says it's a little bit on the small side.
Well, I'm afraid there's not a lot I can do about that. Tell you what, let me try booting it. No, it's crashed. Anything else I can help you with?
Well, funnily enough, yes, my grandson's birthday soon, you
yeah.
see. Now, he's already got an apple and a blackberry. I mean, have you got anything else that you might just like?
Well, we're doing a special offer on these. I mean, I can't make head or tail of them, but the kids seem to like them.
Oh, yeah.
Xbox. 360.
That was funny. Oh gosh. Loved it. All right. Yeah, we'll watch the Jonathan Pie one and then we'll go because I don't want to be too loud. I totally forgot that my daughter went to bed and now I feel bad, like I'm being a bad mom. So I'll do the Hugh Laurie one on a separate. I'll do a video on it.
Households in England and Wales will see a 26% increase.
The more you raise your prices, the easier everything becomes.
Households in England and Wales will see a 26% increase to their yearly water bill from the 1st of April, with the average bill going from £480 to £603. So let me get this straight, right? The government fines the water companies for gross mismanagement and the consumer foots the bill with a little bit extra on top because, you know, they've got to keep their shareholders happy with.
Yeah, that's typical corporate behavior. That happens all the time in America.
Big fat dividends. 600 quid a year for it's water. It comes in rain for it's fucking water. When does this stop? Every other month. Earlier today, mega bastard utilities announced record profits and celebrated by murdering 6,000 kittens. And now the weather. I blame Thatcher. Yes, you can. Yeah, I think you'll find you can blame Thatcher for pretty much everything. Right? Of course you can. The first leader to make an entire country believe that there was something fundamentally wrong with spending money on public services.
I actually have had a lot of conversations with people who say that Thatcher is at least she had put some things into place that have led to some of these things, and I know that she was a big fan of Ronald Reagan, who was president at the same time that Thatcher was prime minister, I believe. And he definitely put in a ton of policies in place that have caused a lot of issues with America, but especially when it comes to private owned stuff and things like that. So I don't think it's far-fetched from what I know, but I don't know for sure, obviously. But from what I know, it's not far-fetched.
Right. This is how it's meant to work, right? We pay tax. The government takes the tax and spends it on public services, right? That might sound like loony, lefty, socialist bollocks, but there isn't a country in the world that doesn't work like that to some extent. You pay your taxes, the government spends it on X, Y, and Z, right? But most of our public services are now owned by private companies whose main purpose, and in most cases only purpose, is to make profit. They don't work for you or the government or the council. They work for shareholders and nobody else. And
1000%. What I get in arguments all the time with people who say that we, like here in the UK, you have to privatize things. And I'm like, why? No, you shouldn't be privatizing anything. Anything that is privatized should go back to public service. It's not anything. There are certain things that make sense to be privatized, but there's certain things that don't, like medical care, like public services, like waterworks, utilities, the public transport. If it's public transport, it should be open to the public and it should be funded by the government.
It's a pretty good
The only a follow-up to that I will do is that almost everything in America is privatized. I look at the state of it.
System. If you own shares in that company. Privatization, it was sold to the nation as giving us more choice as consumers. And there is a choice. Get fucked hard over a barrel with zero lube or go without heating and water. There's your choice. But hey, it's fine. Doesn't matter. Help is at hand. We got a Labour government now, haven't we? So, hello? Hello?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. One hand is really not any better than the other, at least from my experience.
Nothing. Maybe they've gone out. It's not reasonable for people to expect Labour to turn around 14 years of Tory mismanagement, greed and utter fuckduggery in 7 months. A health service on its knees, an immigration service on its knees, a prison service on its knees. You know, there's a lot of shit to do and fuck all money to do it with because our economy is like a nuclear bomb with a hair trigger, right? The state of the country might not be Labour's fault, but now they're in, it is their responsibility. And they did ask for the job. And I'm sure they all feel like they're working their little asses off right now. But to everyone else, it feels like they've only just sat down at their desk and they're still rearranging their pens, working out where they keep the post-it notes. People are crying out for fundamental change, desperate, but you just seem to be fiddling with the paper clips. It's time to start governing. This low risk, say nothing, do nothing, promise nothing. It might be the right way to get into government, but it's no way to govern. You can't expect the country to have turned around in 6 or 7 months, but I do think it's reasonable to not expect your water bills to continue to rise, knowing your daily morning dump will still be floating in the English Channel by tea time, whilst the boss of Thames Water owns over £2 million a year, with energy giants making £457 billion of profit as consumers' bills are the fourth highest in the world. When do we start to see some change? Because the honeymoon is over, right? The honeymoon was over the minute your opening gambit was to stop helping old people pay for their astronomical bills, which...
Yeah, that was insane. I was blown away that they took that away. It's so crazy that the most vulnerable people, you're basically taxing the most vulnerable people by taking their assistance away. I thought this was supposed to be a social democracy, right? Like a constitutional monarch where you have socialism combined with democracy and representative government. And you're supposed to be taking care of the people. Like the whole reason that the UK is amazing is because you have all these social programs, supposedly, that are reaching out, that are just for the public. And you can just do this stuff. And that's an amazing thing about the UK. You can't take it away. Stop taking it away. Stop following the American corporate model. It doesn't work. You're going to end up with someone like Trump or worse running shit down the line. Y'all deserve better. Everybody deserves better. If I could get anything across from my personal experience to anybody, is to not privatize public services.
Might have been an economic necessity, but it was also a PR atrocity. How to jizz any political capital up the wall in one easy step. Now, all they talk about is growth and business and growth, with zero acknowledgement that we live in a corrupt corporate state, which is not an inevitability, but a political choice. And not doing anything about it is also a political choice.
Yeah, it's a policy choice. Keeping people poor under these conditions is a policy choice. It doesn't matter who's in. It's not a leftist, rightist thing. It's a policy choice. It's not about, they want us to look at each other instead of looking up.
When are you going to help the people you were put in government to represent? Hard-working people. Labour. The clue is in the title. When do the millions of people who voted for you and put their trust in you, and in fact the millions that didn't, when do they start to feel the benefits? When? When do you put a stop to the energy and utility companies conning people who are struggling but also require things like water, gas and electricity? When you are already over 10% through your term in office and you appear to have achieved next to nothing? What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What's your moral mission? And if your answer to those questions is growth, then you're fucked. Yes, there's no money. You can't do much, but you better do something about this unbridled corporate greed and do it fast, because there's a dead-eyed, populist, GB News lopsided minge just one election away.
We could raise taxes on the higher salaries in the country. I don't know what the tax structure is for people who make over, £500,000 or £1 million a year, because I'm not 100% familiar, but I know that's something that's a problem in America, is they're not taxing people who make a decent amount of money. Not decent. People who are above a certain pay grade end up paying like almost nothing in taxes, and that's where the deficit really is falling. I don't know if that's something that could be applicable here in the UK, but it is something to look at, I think. Probably corporate taxes could be raised, most likely.
Oh, and fuck Sainsbury's. £1 billion in profit last year, and yet it's cutting 3,000 jobs. Why? Rising national insurance contributions. Now, that's not Labour's fault. That's just greedy corporate weasels blackmailing the country. If you make us pay our fair share, then we're going to fire everyone. Fuck you. I'm buying my bog roll from Morrison's from now on. Yes. Well, the Liberal Democrats' environment spokesperson, Tim Farron, said the increase was absolute.
Yeah, he is 100% correct in those analysis. He usually is, and I enjoy his analysis because it's usually basically what the common person's trying to say. I actually didn't know that about Sainsbury's, but I'm really glad that he said that. I don't really shop there that much, but I'm not gonna. I don't. Look, Sainsbury's probably isn't any different than any other, grocery store or just, big bulk, big name store like that. They're probably all doing similar things, but it is just an excuse. People, corporations and businesses, the bottom line is the bottom line. They don't care. They don't care about anything but that. And that's why the government needs to put in regulations and tax them so that they can be responsible for the money and then distribute it evenly. I don't know if you have things like lobbyists here, like we do in America, people who are actually their job, they get paid by a corporation like Sainsbury's, for example, to go to Congress and talk to all of the representatives and say, hey, we could really use another tax cut, and try to get them to vote or propose another tax cut for corporations so that Sainsbury's can make the money. It's a return on their investment because maybe they're paying couple $100,000 a year in America for the lobbyist salary, which is pretty good salary. But they'll get, like $1 billion in tax cuts. So it's a huge investment for them. So there's lobbyists everywhere for every big money, big business interest in America, which is part of the reason why America's in the economic state that it's in. So it really pains me to see that the UK is going into similar situations because you're supposed to be better than us. I was hoping you'd be better than us, and you are better than us. Don't. Sorry. It gets me very upset. It gets me very upset. I don't want you guys to go down this road because it's not a good road. It's the road I'm running from. Obviously, there's other things going on as well, but do you think that, what do you guys think? Do you think I'm way off? Do you think I'm being too lib or anything like that? Because I have been accused of that in the past, but I don't know. I think there's a problem when the business interests are intertwined with your government officials in whatever way they are. Hi, Mick. Thank you so much for joining us. Actually, I did Billy Connolly Looney on the Bus a couple lives ago, I think. If I can find it, I'll put it in a link in the description box. So I did do that one. That one is hilarious. I love Billy Connolly. No, I didn't say mom. I definitely said mom. I don't know what you're talking about, Emojin. Yeah, he's really really good. I like him a lot. Sam says Simpsons is on E4+1 from 9 to 10. I don't know what you mean, The Simpsons, like the cartoon. Did you want to watch it? Emojin says the problem, Mandy, in the UK is people reject socialism. Any party who stood for power on a socialist ticket would not get in. We have a similar issue in America. They equate socialism with communism or Nazism. Although Nazism seems to be taking a rise in America right now, sadly. Mick says, I wonder how many of my age that voted for Labour would do it if the general election was tomorrow. Mojin says I could write an essay on that topic. Look, the problem is when you start this is the problem I see in American politics, and there are some similarities in the UK politics. The problem that I see in American politics is we have two main parties, and because both of them get campaign contributions from big business and moneyed interests, they both work for their donors. In America, it's legal for companies to donate large sums of money to our candidates and our representatives. It's in the form of campaign contributions, but it's basically a bribe. Because if you're raising money, think about it. If you're in a position of being a representative and you're raising money for your campaign, and Joe Schmo down the street sends you 50 quid. You're like, thank you. That's lovely. I know that's, what you can afford, and I really appreciate it, and I will represent you. And then BP comes in and writes a check for 100,000 quid. Who are you going to listen to? That's what it boils down to. It always boils down to money. It always boils down to money. They're not going to keep giving you that 100 quid for your campaign if you don't do something for them. They're going to give it to the other guy or woman. Piper says Labor has achieved things, but they don't seem to have a good PR team. Sounds like the Democrats in America. They never want to celebrate their wins. I personally still willing to give Labor time. I'd probably start judging them after a year or more. I mean, can they call it another election this quickly? I don't know. I'm still learning your politics. I don't think so, right? I think there's some time. I doubt they'd call it this quickly, even if they could, though. I do still think the Tories would be much worse for us. Most likely, if they're anything like the Conservative Party in America, I would imagine. And judging by how everyone's been complaining about them for the long time that I've been around, I would think that they're probably not going to do very well. Falco says he has a new one on about Trump. Yeah, I think that's the one that came up in the Click Next. I haven't seen it yet, though. Piper says, I'd rather the least worst option. I'm also proud of his stance with Ukraine. Now, don't you guys have other parties? I know you have a Reform Party, which is scary. And then I think you have, which I think, from what I understand, because I could be wrong, so correct me if I am, but I thought that the Reform Party is like a very, very far right party. And then you have a Green Party. I know that because I've seen some flyers come through about a Green Party, which is a little bit, I think, equates to like the progressive branch of the Democrats in America. It's a little bit more socialist formed. And I think you have a couple others, right? I'm not 100% sure, but you definitely have more parties than we have in the US. So the Tory party didn't increase the tax threshold for 5 years. So as wages and pensions went up, people were brought into the tax payments. So you're saying that their wages went up, but they didn't raise the taxes in congruence with the wages. So they're paying more in taxes, not getting as much other money. And I'm not sure I understand. Tax threshold for 5 years. So as wages and pensions went up, more people were brought into the tax payments. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand your statement. I'm sorry, Mick, if you could just clarify for me so that I can understand what you're trying to say. And then labor never changed it. So obviously it had a negative effect on the economy. I'm just curious what exactly the effect was. I'd be worried, Piper said, I'd be worried that the Tories would have supported U.S. stance over Ukraine. Yeah. There's a whole nother friggin' it's a whole nother can of worms, isn't it? Sam says, do Americans now wear orange glasses to protect their eyes from the over orange exposure? Oh, and they probably do wear glasses that have some kind of like picture of Donald Trump when he was really young on it, so he still looks vibrant and everything. Privy says, I think our government is the best we could do with the choices we had. Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning, so I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, I'm not going to comment on something I'm not well versed on. Disco says Trump reminds me of the Tango adverts or David Dickinson. Okay, I don't know either of them, so I'll look them up. Oh, you meant for kids to watch if they can't sleep. Got you. Yeah, I was laughing kind of loud, so I hope I didn't wake them. Mick says, in most countries now it's a politics of fear. If you vote for them, this will happen. Yeah. People still have to vote for the money donation or not. It's apathy, and I hate to say this, poor education of the American public. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that as well. That's a whole nother show as well. They can call an election at any time. Wow, that's crazy. Like, you can't do that in America. Like, we're stuck with Trump for 4 years. There's nothing we can do unless he dies or there's some kind of coup, I guess. There's nothing else. We have to see this go through. And if he dies, JD Vance becomes president. And JD Vance is scarier than Trump will ever be, in my opinion. The parties that I see are good are Green, Lib, Dem, and Labor, but I and many others saw that Green and Lib Dem were not going to win, so went for the party that looked like it would push. Yeah, but I hear you, Piper, and sometimes when you're in a situation where you have to get the incumbent party out, you have to make those types of choices. But the problem is then there's never going to be enough people voting for the other parties. You know what I mean? So you just have to be careful, I guess. I don't know. I'm not used to having more than two parties anyways to vote for. It's really tough. It's tough. Being an adult. Adulting is tough. Is Trump allowed in the ocean, or is he too much of an environmental risk of orange? Like, I doubt he would go in the ocean. Honestly, he would mess his hair up, so I don't see it happening. His fake tan would probably wash off too. Piper says push the Tories out regardless if we thought Live Dem or Green was better. Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes you do have to vote for the lesser of two evils, and it's really difficult and it's really frustrating. Potter. Oh, welcome to the show. In the US, you don't have left wing only conservative with small c and then conservative with far right. In the US, that's what you're trying to say, I think. Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. There's really not that much of a difference. There's a slight difference, whereas like on social issues and stuff, the Democrats are slightly better. But other than that, really isn't that much of a difference. Mick MacArthur says the tax threshold is the amount you have to make before paying tax. I think the lowest tax bracket is £12. Oh, 12,500 before you have to pay tax. Right. Okay. So you're saying wages went up, but the tax that tax threshold didn't go with the wages. So you're paying more in taxes. That's what you're saying, right? Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I hear you now. Yeah, we don't really have tax allowances. You're right. We have tax brackets. So if you make up to this point, you get taxed this percent, and you make up to this point, between those 2 points, you get taxed this percent, and so on and so forth. And then what you have is deductions. So you have like living expenses deductions. You have child benefit deductions. You can deduct things like your child care costs. Somewhat can be deducted. Some of it up to a certain amount. Interest on investments and things like that. There's a whole huge like booklet full of stuff that you can take off. So you make, just say, 20,000 a year, and then you can take the deductions off of that. So your tax bracket for 20,000 might be 15%, but then if you take all those deductions off, the final amount is like what, 15,000 maybe. Okay, so then you get that, but 15,000, and you only get taxed on like for 15%. I don't know if that makes sense. It's really complicated, but mainly because they just don't want to admit that they have a ton of loopholes for people who have a lot of money. Tens of thousands have apparently signed a petition to revoke Elon's Canadian citizenship. They need to revoke his fucking American citizenship, kick his ass out, and the deportations they're doing. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Piper says they need to prove that the government have fallen out of favor with a vote of no confidence. Yeah. But wasn't it, what's his name with the hair? He was like, during Brexit, he was a prime minister. What's his name? Boris Johnson. Didn't Boris Johnson have like 2 votes of no confidence before they kicked him out? Send Elon Musk to Russia. Can I just do a vent about Elon Musk for a second? What Elon Musk is doing right now in America is what happens when you let moneyed interest donate to a candidate. He donated almost $1 million to Donald Trump's campaign. That's why he was put in charge of this division, this whatever this friggin' new thing is that's a brand new creation by Donald Trump. It's not an official government entity. It hasn't been approved by Congress or Senate or anything like that. Most likely unconstitutional and should not be allowed. Okay, almost everything they're doing is against the Constitution in one way, shape, or form. Not to mention, one of Trump's biggest deals is immigrants. And an immigrant is running our shit, and he's married to an immigrant. Okay. The other thing is, why the fuck is Elon Musk having any conversation with any foreign government or any foreign political group? Why is that even allowed? Now, I'm not saying that he can't have his political views, but if you're going to work for the American people, i.e. through the American government by this government entity organization that's been created for you, then you should not be allowed to speak to foreign governments and foreign political parties. You shouldn't have any involvement in any of that shit. You shouldn't be allowed to donate money to them. You shouldn't be allowed to talk to any of them. You should be focused on your fucking agenda. Your agenda, supposedly, is supposed to be to find waste, fraud, and abuse within the American judicial, legislative, and executive branches. And you're sending money to far-right political parties in other countries. Why is he still here? He has like 20-year-olds going through our taxes, gathering our information, our personal data, who gets Social Security checks, who gets government assistance in any way, what we've paid in our taxes, our Social Security numbers, which is equivalent to like your national insurance number. They, like these 20-year-olds who don't know what they're doing, are not at all qualified to be doing any kind of audits on a national scale, have access to our personal information. So frustrating. So frustrating. Anyway, Doris Johnson. Yeah. Yeah. So he had no choice but to resign because too many people had resigned under him. Oh, okay. I see. It means if you have a state pension plus a works pension like me, I have to pay tax because it's over the tax threshold. Oh, okay. Ooh, yeah. So that hits, again, you're hitting the most vulnerable. Sorry to get you worked up. That's okay. Don't worry about it. UK did the same with Brexit. Send them back, won the day. MAGA is the same easy hit. MAGA making ask. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't. MAGA's terrible. Listen, I don't want to talk about the voters specifically because they're my fellow Americans and they have been brainwashed and everyone's responsible for themselves. I'm not taking that autonomy away at all, but if you have been fed a load of shit for centuries and you don't know any different and you're gonna fucking believe that shit. That's just human nature. I mean, I was under some of those spells in a different capacity, but stuff that I had learned my entire life and lived as an adult for a long period thinking was the reality and not realizing it wasn't until finally the bubble burst. So, and then you just feel like a complete fucking idiot. But it wasn't really your fault because you were only fed this stuff, for so long. It's a tough, complicated situation. Emojin asks, can you please explain, Mandy, why America doesn't seem to have the process in place to stop this abuse of power? They do. The government is set up in America where the three different branches, as I mentioned before, legislative, which is Congress and Senate, the executive branch, which is presidency and its cabinet and advisors, and the judicial, which is the Supreme Court and all of the federal courts throughout the country. They're all supposed to be even in power, and they're supposed to be checking and balancing each other. So, for instance, the president's not supposed to be able to pass laws. Congress is supposed to be passing law. The president can sign it, but if the president doesn't want to sign it, then there is a process where Congress and Senate can kind of go and revamp it and either have him sign it again or do a certain kind of vote where they can pass it anyway. That's a check and balance. So the president, the executive branch, being able to veto that law, meaning not sign it, is their check and balance. And then if they both pass something, then the judicial branch is supposed to step in and say, oh, that's not constitutional. It violates the Constitution or it violates people's personal rights. And therefore it can't be actually made into law. That's how it's supposed to work. Problem is all of the branches have been corrupted, and this has been going on for decades. Like, this has been a very long-term plan by the Conservative Party in America. So a lot of judges have been appointed from a conservative standpoint over the last few decades at all levels, so even at state level all the way up to the federal level, and they've all been specifically selected to have certain interests in mind. So they're basically legislating from the bench. And you combine that with a corrupt executive branch, along with a corrupt Congress and Senate, who's been corrupted by money interests, etc. That's how you end up where you are in America. It's been decades of them rolling back regulations, allowing things like endless campaign contributions, packing the courts, and it's been a really long campaign for them to try to get to this point where they have this kind of power. It's sad, but it's the truth. That's the basic gist of it. It's supposed to be set up a different way, but there's just too many corrupt people now in each of the different branches. That's really what it boils down to. A lot of people don't realize outside of the US, even people in the US don't realize, but we narrowly escaped a coup under Trump's first term. And I'm not talking about the riots for January 6th. There is actually some legislative stuff that was going on behind the scenes between the executive branch, the military, and some of the people in Congress to circumvent the Constitution so that Trump would remain president forever. That was actually happening. That's one of the court cases that has been dismissed in America against President Trump. Not only has he not been convicted or even tried on that, but he was reelected and allowed to run again. That is a really good example of the corruption that's going on in America right now. I hope that explained it to you. Piper says, I was surprised when I realized how hard it was to push your president out. It felt a little ironic. We're the country with the monarch, yet we've been able to push out our prime ministers easily. Yeah. Mick says, in Scotland, we have been hating Trump before it was cool. Yeah, you have, because of the golf course thing, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that I see some of the comments that people are saying about what I said about the branches to Imogen, explaining it. I think my hope is that some courts will actually be able to step up. And if the cases go all the way to the Supreme Court, which knowing Trump, they will, because he doesn't like to lose, as we know. Even though the Supreme Court is primarily conservative, we're basically banking on the Supreme Court being loyal to the Constitution. There's really all that stands in the way of America falling apart into a completely different country, basically, is people being loyal to the Constitution. And the Constitution is complicated, and it's not always straightforward. It's a lot of interpretation. So yeah. Piper says, I was surprised where parties don't seem to have that incentive in the US. Incentive meaning incentive to push people out. There's a whole lot of shit, you guys. There's a whole lot of stuff that's been going on for years. But anyways, we've hit the 2.5 hour mark. I'm going to go because I know a lot of you probably have to work, or I'm probably keeping my kid up and I feel really bad. Anyways, I'm going to go because it's about 2.5 hours now. And I need to use the restroom. So thank you guys so much for joining me and hanging in there with me and celebrating with me today, listening to my ongoing work saga, and also all of your contributions to the channel, all of the stuff that you do to help support us, and all of the stuff you do to help support the Royal British Legion and each other. It is exactly what I wanted this community to be. So I'm so happy that that's the direction that we're going in. And all of the great things that have happened to me and to this community and to the channel has been because of you. So please keep doing what you're doing. And if there's anything else that you can suggest to help make this community grow, raise more money for the RBL, or anything you want to see us do or you think might be interesting or fun to talk about, please let me know. Don't forget to check out the website when you guys have a chance. Sign up for the free newsletter and the free download if you get a chance as well, if you're inclined. Consider the membership, but no obligation and no judgment. And yeah, I'll see you next week. I hope everybody has a good week. Stay safe. Love you all. And I'm not going to play the music on the way out because I'm trying to be low key now. But everybody have a good week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.